Why are fewer and fewer people choosing to call Illinois home? One person moves out of Illinois every 4 minutes. 2021 marked Illinois' 8th consecutive year of population loss, with 122,460 more people moving out than coming in. Illinois was one of only 7 states that saw a rise in residents leaving in 2021. What's driving this problem is actually pretty straightforward. People are leaving for affordable housing and jobs. Illinois' property taxes are the second highest in the nation. That makes homeownership costly for many families. One analysis showed Illinois' average property tax bills amounted to 7 extra months of mortgage payments. At the same time, rents are increasing, and renters ultimately pay their landlord's property tax bills. Working families are choosing to live in more tax-friendly states that deliver better amenities. When they go, fewer people are left to pay Illinois' ever-increasing government costs, which ultimately raises property tax bills even more. Burdensome property taxes haven't always been an issue in Illinois. As recently as 1996, property tax bills were 80% lower. They were about average when compared with bills in other states. Back then, individuals could deduct unlimited amounts of state and local taxes from their federal income tax liability. The SALT deduction reduced the incentive to move to states that offered a better price for government services. But now that Illinoisans pay over 2% of their home's value each year in property taxes, double the national average, and their state and local tax deduction is capped at $10,000, they're feeling the impact of the rising cost of government. It shouldn't be surprising that population loss due to outmigration has accelerated since the federal income tax change. COVID and the rise of work from home exacerbated the Illinois exodus. The main driver behind property tax growth is the public pension crisis. It's the worst in the nation. Illinois spends a higher portion of its revenues on yearly state and local pension costs than any other state. Yet it still has the most state and local pension debt compared to the size of its economy. And it all exists because state lawmakers and local politicians promised more money to government retirees than taxpayers could ever realistically afford. This problem was worsened by the fact that Illinois' working-age population, the tax base, has been shrinking every year. Even more annoying, as taxpayers are forced to pay higher and higher taxes, they don't see a return on their investment. That's because pension spending growth crowds out important services, such as classroom resources for school kids. So what about jobs? After the Great Recession, it took nearly 10 years for Illinois' employment to recover to its pre-crisis level. 2 years after the beginning of the COVID-19 downturn, Illinois' employment recovery is among the most sluggish of any state. In Illinois, 21% of workers are still missing. Aggregate employment in Illinois is still 2.9% below the pre-pandemic peak. This is compared to 1.3% below pre-pandemic employment across the country on average. There are 2 reasons Illinois is still missing roughly 200,000 jobs when compared to its pre-pandemic employment level. On the demand side, although labor demand, the number of job openings, increased in 2021, Illinois job seekers are still less likely than other Americans to find work. This explains why Illinois' unemployment rate remains 1 full point higher than the U.S. average. Fewer opportunities and longer unemployment duration drives people to look elsewhere. On the supply side, Illinois' labor force shrank by 2%, compared to 1% on average across the country during the pandemic. Illinois' workforce is still missing nearly 120,000 workers when compared to January 2020. Part of the decline in Illinois' labor force is due to workers leaving the state. One reason economic downturns tend to be relatively more severe is that policy in Illinois does not adjust to economic shocks. Illinois' legislature lacks the ability to meaningfully cut taxes when it's needed, or invest in things that boost economic growth. That's because politicians have shackled us all to enormous financial burdens, namely public pensions. In bad economic times, rising pension costs mean harsh austerity measures, resulting in less public assistance for Illinois' poorest families. The pension provision in the Illinois Constitution prevents any change to Illinois' growing pension costs. And yet, politicians refuse to let voters decide whether Illinois should amend the pension clause in the Constitution to protect workers' already earned benefits and repair Illinois' finances. Politicians have also created a cumbersome regulatory system that makes it hard for businesses to create jobs here. Illinois' regulatory code has 278,475 individual restrictions and requirements, the most of any Midwestern state and third most in the nation. Only California and New York have more regulations than Illinois. Policy should adjust to economic conditions, but in Illinois, our hands are tied. So what can Illinois do to fix its people problem? First, politicians need to fix the pension crisis. That means lawmakers must give voters the chance to support a constitutional amendment at the ballot box. Reining in pension spending will free up more budget dollars for local schools, financial aid for college students, programs to help people with disabilities, property tax relief, or all of the above. And Illinois needs to cut the red tape to create an environment that capitalizes on Illinois' highly educated workforce, its central location, and its natural resources. Those are the things that make families plant roots in the land of Lincoln. We can fix Illinois. It just takes political will. And once we fix these problems, we can again focus on telling others what most Illinoisans already know. This is a great place to call home.